Hi, beautiful planets, all the amazing ladies all over the world, and also men who I discovered watch my videos about women and relationship and empowerment. This is the Intimacy with the World live show, and I'm Lana Elko, relationship expert and empowerment coach. So today I'm excited to show up again and share more secrets, more information about one of the archetypes that I've been sharing with you recently. And I already covered three fundamental feminine archetypes, right, that I developed based on my work with women and my own experience and research, right? So today we're going to cover the last archetype that I didn't cover yet, and it is very exciting. This is the time to discover the goddess, right? And remembering that even if you took my quiz, archetype quiz, and discover whether you're goddess archetype or other archetypes, remember that we all have elements of all of them, right, within ourselves. And in different times of our life and in different environments, one of them shows up more than another, so it can be beneficial for you even if it's not your archetype, right? And by the way, I want to remind you that this is an interactive show, so when you show up, just say hi, and you can say where you're from, you can ask something, you can share something in the comments, and I will respond to you right away. Or even if you watch on replay, you can do the same thing. I always come back to everybody who makes comments or come back to me. So just don't be shy, be brave, show up. All right, so as you know, so we covered 4 archetypes, and it is so important to remember that we women are different, right? We're not the same. We are wired differently, and sometimes I want to ask you a question. Actually, I want to ask you a question. Do you remember the situation when you were struggling with something, right? And you have a girlfriend, or you have another woman who is actually really good with that, right? With that piece that you're struggling with. And let's say she gives you a piece of advice and she recommends you to do something, or like to follow certain practice, and you try it and it doesn't work for you. And you try it again and it doesn't work for you, but it works perfectly for her. So what happens sometimes when in this situation, then we start to question ourselves. Do I do it right, actually? Did I miss something? Why does it work for her? Does it work for me? What's wrong with me? So you go like and start to find, you start to look that there is something wrong with you. You're not doing it right. But the key is that maybe you're just different women. Maybe you're wired differently, and maybe the channel that she is using to receive what she wants in this particular area, right? It works for her because she is different, and it doesn't work for you no matter how hard you try. So it's not about trying hard, it's about understanding that that doesn't work for you and finding your own way. Right? That's why I believe understanding these 4 fundamental feminine archetypes is crucial, because it gives you permission to be yourself and not to feel guilty or ashamed that something doesn't work for you because it works for others. I've been there myself so many times, and I had to just say, well, that's not my channel of receiving. That's not the way that works for me, and I know my own ways, or I'm still discovering new ways as well. So this is so important for self-acceptance and self-empowerment. So, okay, let's connect with the goddess, right? Let's connect with the goddess. It's La Femme Fatale archetype in my system, archetype system, and when she is in her power, right, when she completely accepts who she is, her true nature and how she is wired, she is, and she also shows up that way in her social environment, right, where she lives, in her culture. without shame and guilt, or comparing herself with other women, she becomes a goddess. That's why I say the birth of the goddess. Then she shows up in her full power, and this is when she starts thriving and being happy and fulfill her soul purpose and finding beautiful relationship with her man, right? This is what she needs, and let's dive deeper and see what it is, right? Let's start with understanding what is this archetype about, what the goddess is about. So she is the most powerful with this feminine receiving. She is by nature, she is born to receive. Remember, we talked about the good girl archetype, the great mother. She is more natural with giving, and actually by giving she already receives satisfaction, right, and pleasure by doing that. The goddess is the opposite. The goddess is good with receiving. She needs to receive in order to feel motivated to give. And another piece, that she doesn't even need to take any actions about giving, because by being herself, she is already giving inspiration. She is sharing her radiant energy with the world, and she is a muse. So she is the most feminine archetype, and the most like the sexiest archetype, and she's very connected with her body, with her physical beauty. She's connected with her senses and physical experience. She loves beauty and beautiful things. Hi Wendy, welcome. Thank you for showing up. She loves beautiful things, she loves beautiful experiences and aesthetics, and she thrives in abundance and even luxury, right? Doesn't mean needs to be excessive, but she needs to have this covered, so she doesn't struggle, so she doesn't think she's not good with survival mode. That completely kills her vibe. She needs to be in the center of attention, and she needs to be seen and heard. This is how she shares her goddess energy, right? And she's very flirtatious, and her vibrant nature makes her a muse. Like, she is a muse. She inspires others just by being herself, right? That's the goddess. The goddess doesn't work hard. That's not her piece of cake. She shows up and being her power, and that is already enough for her to thrive, right? And we'll go deeper with that. It kind of sounds for Western culture, Western mindset, sounds a bit crazy. Like, what? She doesn't need to do anything. She just shows up, and we'll dive deeper with that, because it's a hard piece to understand and process if you grew up in Western civilization and Western countries where, you know, number one value is working hard, you know, like to achieve your goals. So that just doesn't work for her. She's not wired this way, and she needs to find a different way, because she will never be happy. It's just different mindset. It's a different energy, like, channel, and it's not about being right or wrong. It's just different, right? So she's also she needs to flirt and laugh and play. So when she's born in more like Southern cultures, where people have more celebrative nature, right, and more social nature, she thrives better in these cultures by nature of who she is. She doesn't deal well with routine. Forget about it. It kills her vibe. She doesn't like discipline, right? Discipline for her is more like a draft, you know. When she has a big, like, long to-do list, that she can't do that. And she can have that draft of, you know, how she builds her day, you know, like what she does. Like, it's more like a ritual works better for her than to-do list and the routine and discipline, right? She's not wired through strategic approach, the masculine structures and systems. It's too overwhelming, and it's too like a burden for her. So she can't deal with that, and she doesn't thrive in masculine structures. It's the worst for her. She doesn't like strict plans as well, because she needs space to be spontaneous and improvise. And she is driven by her desires, and it's very, very important for her to come from the place of her feminine desires and have space to, to change, to course correct. So again, central for her, if you're a goddess archetype, this is just so crucial to know that for you, desire, pleasure, and receiving is central. So if you ignore that and you're trying to squeeze into this box of like high performance, achievements, like hard work, discipline, plans, like you can't survive. You can't not even survive. You can survive, but that's it. Basically, you can't thrive. You can't succeed in terms of being happy and being fulfilled, right? So that is why many times she needs to delegate her like pure money making, or if it's a masculine a business, kind of, if you run your business in a masculine way, all these masculine structures are too much for her, and it's overwhelming, and she doesn't want them. That's why she needs to delegate this piece for sure. So let's look at her relationships with man and money. And I must admit that for her, these two are very, very connected, because she is not good with pure money making and business of masculine business structures, right? Masculine careers, discipline. She often is afraid of that, right? If you're not good with that, you start to feel fearful about these areas, right? And that's why many times she gets trapped in codependency with a man who provides money for her. Especially like in traditional cultures, it's more common, but if she lives in a Western country, in these days, it's kind of terrifying, right? Because in Western countries right now, is that after the feminist movement, it's the Amazon woman is thriving. And Amazon woman, if you're this archetype, then you're really good with those structures. Amazon woman, the queen, she thrives in masculine structures. She's really good. She loves that. She loves to organize. She likes to dominate. She likes to, to lead. And the goddess it's not her piece of cake. So many times she falls in this codependency with the man who provides for her, or she always have this financial scarcity because she's too feminine to follow all the structures. So that it can trap her, right? And she can lose her vibe, she can lose her inspiration, and basically betray her true nature. So that's why I say money and relationship are very interconnected. But however, by nature, she is a good receiver. So it's more like, for her, it's more like conditioning and those false beliefs that something is wrong or right can trap her in these spaces, because other women are independent, successful, and run all these businesses and succeed in masculine structures, and she just can't stand it. So she thinks there are two extremes, right? To be codependent on her man financially, or constantly struggle. So that's both dead end for her. She needs to find a balance. But by nature, she's really good with receiving support. Receiving support from the masculine who really cares and wants genuinely to give this support for her to thrive. That's where masculine performs their primal role, right? Provide and protect. And she's really good with finding that. She just needs to give herself permission to do that. So let's talk about that balance. Like, what is this balance is about? Basically, when she finds inside of herself this trust that she is always taken care of, not just by a man, but by the universe, right? She's always taken care of, and she can do what she loves to do. Like, usually she finds herself in creative professions like being an artist, musician, singer, poet, writer, designer, model, whatever it is, actress, she can thrive in these areas, and knowing that to start and to succeed in those areas sometimes is really hard in terms of because they are not the most appreciated areas in our society. There are so many struggling artists and only a few become really famous and financially supported by the work. So for her, it's more about trusting that and providing at least the basics for herself, that her needs are covered. And then from that place, somebody always shows up in her life. If it's in career, she can find sponsors and investors who can see her gifts and talents and invest in her or sponsor her. Or in relationship, she can find a man who are happy to give her extra, like she has already the basics, right, by doing that. But he can provide her abundance, and he'll be more than happy to do it, because she is his muse, she is his inspiration. She gives this experience to him that nobody else can give him, but just by being herself, by being that goddess, and she's open to receive it without guilt and shame. Then it's totally balanced relationship, it's not codependent, but it needs to be genuine. Because if she's with a manipulator, like that codependent relationship, and she becomes to fall into the victim, place, then it's a dead end again, and that doesn't work for her. Or sometimes we can find those women who decide on the kind of subconscious level that the only way to survive and do well in this society is to find a man who will provide for her, and she can find a man for the wrong reasons, right, and become a manipulator herself. And that also doesn't work, because then she robs herself and again betrays her nature of the goddess, right? She doesn't believe that she can have both. She can have love and support from the man. Oh, thank you for your likes. From the man who really wants to give her, right? So just to balance in between these two is having that trust and have that spirituality piece, actually, to have relationship with the universe, that it will be provided for her when she is in her goddess power. That man will show up, because he will show up when she is in her full power. This is when she has maximum magnetism to vibrate that energy and to draw the attention of different people, different men, and she will find that genuine, beautiful soulmate, a man who wants to genuinely give, and also she can be in love with him as well, right? So that's the balance that we are looking for. But just trusting that, because many women who are goddesses, they stay in the relationship when they're not in love with men. Whether he's like manipulator and she's just suffering, or sometimes it's a good guy, but she doesn't feel really in love with him. And because sexuality and attraction and love and senses, all this energy, that romantic love is very important for her, like she also, her vibe starts to go down, and she starts to feel bored, and she starts to feel disappointed with life, like, oh, is this how it works? I inspire him, but I don't feel the same way, and the only thing I receive from him is this financial support. So that's also not fair for both for her and for that man, because he will also sense that she's not genuine. So that's basically what I wanted to cover today, right? And of course we can go deeper and work with more energetic information. And to be honest, I have clients who represent different archetypes, and there are different ways to work with them, because it's like they're wired differently. You can, like, it's completely different reality that they live, and different channels of receiving that they need to activate to be themselves and to be in their power, right? And it can be life-changing, because if you're the goddess and you're trying to, to fit into the Western society, this very masculine and very achievement and success, dry results, success, like you just start to fade away like these flowers, like, ooh, not enough water. Oh, hi Patrick, thank you. So just accepting your nature, that you don't need to do things like others do. You don't need to do and show up in life and relationship the way it is fashionable in this historical time or in this environment, right? In these different locations. You can just be yourself and find a way to show up that is genuine, natural, and empowering for you. And that is life-changing. That's completely life-changing for women that I worked with. When they realize that, it's just like, boo, blows their minds, and they give themselves permission to finally be themselves instead of like trying to be something that they are not. And remembering there's no right and wrong. If we don't hurt anybody, but being ourselves, which we don't, if we're genuine and we show up, the way we're wired, of who we are, it's always like win-win situation where everybody will benefit around us, and beforehand ourselves as well. And yeah, and another piece that I want to share, that the goddess also can this is like sometimes in I noticed kind of in Western countries, like many people live in this kind of way that the money has only this kind of understanding of money, like you have to save, you have to be responsible with money, do. So that is not good for her. So many times the goddess woman, she finds herself in financial chaos, and she starts to spend her money on the things that maybe not very useful, but it kind of feeds her soul. And then she gets terrified, and she starts to hear this advice that she has to be more responsible with her money and the way she spends them. And then when she tries to be stingy and cheap with herself, that also kills her vibe completely, because she can't live like that. That's not her value of life. So the relationship with money is crucial as well, just as much as relationship with man, and understanding that sometimes that you have to find your own value. If you feel like you need to go and get your massage, that actually bring your vibe so high, then you draw more money to you, and just by energetically, because your energy changes, because you give yourself something that most people like maybe don't give themselves. That is a different way to receive money as well, and succeed financially as well. So there is a balance as well. I will not go deep into that. I usually work with women on this piece when they need to, but just not like being cheap or being like living on budget or being too stingy with yourself. It just doesn't work for goddesses. So she needs to be more responsible with money, but she also needs to understand when she needs to give herself something that boosts her energy. Because if you're on constant budget, constantly planning, it just like completely kills your vibe. So that's what I want to share with you today, and thank you so much for watching. I know men and women are watching. I do believe it is important for men to understand women, like what does the woman want, right? The bigger question, and understand that, and understand maybe if you have a wife or a girlfriend, understand her feminine archetype and how she's wired, so you can show up for her more and offer her something that maybe she doesn't even dare to ask, or understand her on deeper level and create deeper relationships. So I do feel it is valuable to watch these videos for men as well on many levels. So if you have any questions, you can ask in the comments. You're welcome to reach out privately. We can have a conversation. Many people reach out through Facebook Messenger It's just like instantly and easy. And I get back to you right away, or you can email me. We can talk on phone or Skype, and see how we can address your individual challenge. Because no matter how much I talk, in general, even if it's more specific information, it can be beneficial, but when you start to apply it, you hit a wall many times because you don't see your blind spots and where they're hidden. So that can be very helpful. So, and I wish you a great weekend. Enjoy yourself, honor your goddess, give her what she needs, and she will make you happy. All right, have a great weekend, and I talk to you next week. Bye.